This is Now, News of the World. We report, you decide.
Iran is making arrangements to make sure all its citizens can have their say in choosing their next president. During a press conference in Iran's foreign ministry, the head of the Presidential Election Committee for Iranian expatriates says that all mechanisms are in place for Iranian expatriates to have a role in choosing their country's next president. 279 polling stations in different countries will receive people's votes.
In every round of each election, we witness a stronger participation rate by Iranian citizens. We would like to thank the host countries helping us in preparation for the election. Ensuring the security for our citizens during the polls means respecting democracy, and we appreciate that.
According to Iran's foreign ministry, nearly 6 million Iranians live abroad, and of course not all of them are happy with the Islamic Republic establishment. Iran's head of the Presidential Election Committee for Iranian expatriates says 3 to 5% of them oppose the establishment.
We need to be cautious so that these people do not undermine the other 95%'s right to participate in the polls. If a nation allows harsh demonstrations close to the polling stations, it is against the spirit of democracy.
2.5 million Iranians living abroad are eligible to vote in the upcoming election. This is while nearly 400,000 Iranians living in Canada cannot cast their votes because two countries do not have diplomatic ties.
Residents of South Korea's Seongju protested as heavily guarded elements of the U.S. missile system THAAD rambled toward a nearby mountaintop site. Washington is hurriedly deploying terminal high-altitude area defense under the pretext it will defend its troops and South Korean ally from North Korea. However, during the South Korean presidential debate on Tuesday, leading candidate Liberal Moon Jae-in questioned U.S. strategies and called for a review of the deployment by the next government.
We must seek a comprehensive solution for the complete elimination of North Korean nuclear power, an inter-Korean peace treaty, and the normalization of North Korea-U.S. relations through multilateral diplomacy. On the THAAD issue, we need a balanced diplomatic capacity that doesn't damage our relationship with China while maintaining a strong South Korea-U.S. alliance.
Centrist contender Ahn Cheol-soo argued South Korea must accept the THAAD deployment and pledged to challenge Moon for the presidency with support from minor conservatives. Should Moon win, however, he will face difficulties reversing the deployment.
Turkey's landmark referendum is finally over after 2 weeks of campaigning by both the Yes camp, who supported President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's proposed constitutional changes, and the No camp, who opposed the 18-article reform package. The Yes camp came out victorious with a narrow win to give President Erdogan sweeping new powers. Under the new system, the role of Prime Minister would be scrapped and term limits for the presidency would be reset.
I hope this result will be to the benefit of our country and our nation. Our people today proved once again that they have reached a heightened state of consciousness and expressed their free will by saying yes to the proposed constitutional changes.
Thousands of Justice and Development Party supporters took to the streets of the capital upon a call by Prime Minister Yildirim to celebrate.
The Yes camp won, it's true, but we expected to have a better result. Unfortunately, this only means that even our supporters do not know this system enough or are afraid of trying something new. But the future will show the importance of these changes for the country. The law says that 50+1 means a win, and the Yes camp won this battle.
The No camp, both Republican People's Party and People's Democratic Party, have disputed the results, accusing the government of manipulating them. They have also promised to appeal to the High Commissioner of the elections.
I think this is an unfair result. It is not in favor of the country at all. I do not accept these results and I am against giving such powers to one person. Unfortunately, this means those who already did whatever they wanted now can do worse with all these powers.
The opposition has demanded a recount of 60% of the votes, claiming that, quote, illegal actions have been committed in favor of the government.
After nearly 5 decades in the Labour Party, Ken Livingstone emerged from a 3-day disciplinary hearing that could have spelt the end of his political life with some surprising news.
The panel have decided that I should be suspended for 1 more year, and during that time I can't stand for Parliament or my local council. I expected them to expel me, so I've now got to consider whether I challenge this legally or just live with it.
Hours earlier, Livingstone had arrived to learn his fate. The charges had been brought after 2016 comments in which he had sought to defend fellow Labour member and Bradford West MP Nash Shah, who had come under fire over claims she had made anti-Semitic comments on her social media pages. Livingstone remains defiant and says he has nothing to apologise for.
No one should be suspended for stating the truth. Let me finish. I've been suspended for stating the truth. Labour MPs who tweeted that I was anti-Semitic, I'd said Hitler was a Zionist, I said, that I've been a Nazi apologist, all that. No disciplinary action against them. I think that's a double standard that's unacceptable. MPs can't be treated differently from ordinary party members.
Greek pensions have been cut 14 times in the last 7 years of unfolding austerity, while increasing taxes and a 30% potential cut in pension payouts are pushing these Greek pensioners on the brink of absolute poverty, as most have seen their monthly income irreversibly pared by both domestic taxmen and the state budgetary restrictions imposed by the country's lenders. Despite the fear, the insecurity and what they say is a lack of political or social visibility, the pensioners march on, demanding what should have been fairly due. A welfare system that works and pension benefits that keep them dignified. They hurt deeper yet when they realize their sacrificial pensions have not helped national economy, still heavily indebted to financial institutions like the IMF and the European Central Bank. Pension reforms remain in the epicenter of unfinished business between the Greek government and its creditors, as fresh tension concerning deeper pension cuts and labour agreements is threatening to derail a pivotal April 7th Eurogroup meeting of Eurozone finance ministers in Malta.
All of France's 11 presidential candidates were brought together in the second and final debate before the first-round vote on April 23rd. All 11 received the 500 endorsements from mayors required to run for the nation's highest office. There are 5 principal candidates, but the 6 newcomers featured very different ideas, as they included an auto plant worker, a former shepherd, and a committed Trotskyist. Their arrival pushed aside the common themes of Islamophobia, national security, and the national debt. The expanded group focused instead on attacks on high finance, the illegitimacy of France's debt, tax evasion, and proposing major structural changes to France's government to make it more democratic. All 6 supported ending austerity and expanding France's often maligned government sector. The 2 mainstream party candidates and ex-socialist minister Emmanuel Macron were routinely blamed for creating and extending France's economic stagnation. More tax breaks for corporations were only supported by Macron, scandal-plagued conservative François Fillon, and the far-right's Marine Le Pen. The Socialist Party was represented by Benoît Hamon in a distant 5th place, and he joined Macron and Fillon as the only supporters of globalization and the European Union.
Time has proven that presidential debates have been very influential on the choices people make when they go to the polls. On Monday, Iran's television aired a special program in the run-up to the presidential election, during which experts debated economy under incumbent President Hassan Rouhani. The almost 35-minute program focuses on politics, economy, social issues, and other pressing matters for the country, and is aired every night until April 27, a day before the kickstart of candidates' official presidential campaigns.
The first debate was held in 1997 when the necessity was felt for introducing new faces in the presidential contentions. Now, despite the fact that presidential debates in Iran do not have a long history, they have proven to be very influential. Whenever we had debates, voter turnout increased by 15 to 20%.
The candidates use a wide range of promotion techniques in the run-up to the elections, but so far studies have indicated that debates have had the biggest impact on candidates' approval ratings among people.
Border areas separating North and South Korea are littered with some 500,000 U.S. landmines, which along with others continue to maim and kill. One person was killed and 5 others sustained injuries by mine explosions last year alone. At South Korea's National Assembly, landmine activists and lawmakers heard testimony from struggling victims as Seoul marks the International Day of Mine Awareness April 4th. So Jong-ho was 14 when he picked up a landmine.
I didn't know I was entering a mine zone. There I found a strange object that looked like a flashlight. I was glad to have found it, put it in my pocket, and carried it home. Back home, I may have grabbed it with both hands and twisted it. I'm not sure. It exploded and I blacked out.
Activists raised awareness of the dangers posed by landmines and society's responsibility to assist victims with an outreach event in downtown Seoul Sunday. 80% of the roughly 600 South Korean confirmed casualties of landmines since the Korean War are the result of U.S. M14 mines. 2 years ago, South Korea enacted a new law to provide assistance to the victims of landmines, but advocates and victims say more help is needed.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is highly critical of authorities of Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdistan region over their decision to hoist Kurdish flags over and in front of government buildings in the city of Kirkuk. Erdogan says the move jeopardizes ties between Ankara and the region. This came after provincial councillors in Kirkuk voted last month to fly Kurdistan's regional flag alongside the Iraqi flag on government buildings in the city. Kurdish parties have also agreed to establish a mechanism for an independence referendum. The flag issue has also raised tensions between the Kurds and Turkmen in Kirkuk. Iraq's Turkmen Front leader Ershad Salehi has met Turkish Prime Minister Ben Ali Yildirim, who reiterated his country's negative stance on Kurdistan regional government plans to hold a referendum for independence. Turkey has long feared the establishment of a Kurdish independent state, whether in Iraq or Syria. Ankara is currently at odds with the U.S. over Washington's support for the Kurds in Syria. Turkey considers the Kurdish groups fighting Daesh in Syria as terrorists. The U.S. insists on cooperating with Kurdish PYD forces in the fight against Daesh, especially in the Syrian city of Raqqa. Turkey, on the other side, doesn't want this to happen under any circumstances.
The World Bank says Ukraine's economy has begun to recover and it has already achieved a relative stability. The institution said the war-hit country's economy grew by 2.3% last year due to record agriculture harvest and investor confidence, strengthened by reforms carried out in the past 3 years.
And in fact, if we look back in the past 3 years, Ukraine has taken more reforms than in the past 15 years.
World Bank, however, has warned Ukrainian authorities about a renewed economic contraction. The conflict in eastern Ukraine, the trade and coal blockade of Donbass are among the main factors that threaten the Ukrainian economy.
Our projection for economic growth in 2017 remains modest at 2%. The good news, however, is that an acceleration of reforms can boost economic growth to 4% in the next 2 years.
The needed changes are politically difficult as they include reforming the pension system, which can affect 1/3 of Ukrainian voters, and privatizing state-owned enterprises, which are often used as milk cows by political forces. The measure should reduce the government spending and increase money inflows to the budget.
The recovery of the macroeconomic equilibrium is critical for boosting the pace of economic growth to 4% in the middle term. It will be tangible for Ukrainians as it can finally reduce the poverty indicators.
With the parliamentary elections scheduled for 2019, experts say it's critical that structural reforms be approved in the parliament soon, before the lawmakers get engaged in the next election race.
Tehran is hosting the 12th edition of Iran Open RoboCup competitions. It has drawn international teams from different countries, including Germany, Japan, the UK, the US, the Netherlands and South Korea, competing alongside several teams from universities across Iran. The competitions are being held under two categories of university and school students: humanoid robots, small-size and medium-sized robot soccer players, industrial robots, standard platform robots, flying robots, robo-submarines, home robots, minesweeper robots and rescue robots are competing in the 4-day event. RoboCup is an international joint project to promote artificial intelligence, robotics and related fields. RoboCup chose to use soccer game as a central topic of research, aiming at innovations to be applied for socially significant problems and industries. The ultimate goal of the RoboCup project is to, by 2050, develop a team of fully autonomous humanoid robots that can win against a human world champion team in soccer.
An Australian cyclist is eyeing a world record with a non-stop ride across Cuba. Jacob Zirl is preparing himself for the attempt in the winding streets of Havana so that he can get used to the weather he'll soon be braving. The 29-year-old aims to cross 1,400 kilometers of the island without sleeping or taking breaks and in less than 55 hours. This spells out Zirl's second attempt to set the world record in the Caribbean nation. He failed to finish the journey in 2015 due to catching dengue fever, but Jacob is determined to accomplish his coast-to-coast dream.
Coming back is a thing of never give up, like the Cuban people never give up in their past. I won't give up to make this project and to cycle Cuba costa a costa.
If successful, this won't be the athlete's first record. In 2014, the Australian became the first cyclist to cross the world's most dangerous route of the Himalayas without stopping. The current attempt will start out in the eastern region of Cuba on April 19th.